thanks for joining WADA Talks. You've been known over the years for being a very strong supporter of anti-doping. Tell us about where that comes from.
Well, I think primarily it comes from right back to when I was a child, the way that I was brought up to stand up for what I believed in, to fight for what I believed in. And then it became an integral part of me, and I don't think I can fully represent myself and be my best if I know that I'm not being true to myself and not speaking up for what I believe in. And I think it was a couple of key points in my career when I started wearing the red ribbon back in 1998, because I'd actually just chatted to a French athlete, Blondine Bitsner-Ducret, who at the time was running with like a red hairband around her arm, and I always thought it was just in case she wanted to tie her hair back. And she said, no, it's because I want testing to improve. I want them to look at blood testing, to look at hair testing, and really to move things forward on the anti-doping field. And I thought, yeah, this is something that I really believe in, but that's not a credible way of demonstrating that because people don't understand it. So we started trying to push ahead with the red ribbon, and I guess within that you see the climate of how things have changed now, because then there was very little support for it amongst the athletes. I'd talk to the other athletes and they'd say, yeah, it's important, but they didn't want to actually put themselves out there in terms of pinning the red ribbon there and competing with that. There were very few other athletes who responded to that. And then move forward to 2001 when I held up the sign, EPO cheats out in Edmonton in the World Championships. Was actually met with hostility by my own federation, by the IOC as well, and invited then to come and take more of a part in the anti-doping process.
And you talk about there being a sort of uncomfortableness many years ago for athletes wanting to talk about doping and the authorities to wanting to sort of bring it out into the open in that way. Has that changed a lot, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think the events over the last couple of years have really helped to bring that out. And for people, I think to kind of, it was almost like a fear of rocking the boat, a fear of, am I putting myself out there? I was asked the question in Edmonton, did you think that you were putting yourself in danger? And at the time, no, I didn't think about that. I just thought, this is something that I have to do. I have to stand up for what I believe in.
You talk about young athletes there. I mean, how would it feel for a young athlete today wanting to get into athletics, or track and field as it's also known, amidst what we've seen the last couple of years with the sport being surrounded by allegations and evidence of wrongdoing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, I think we've come through that, and I have a lot of faith now that within my own federation, the athlete's voice has been listened to like it's never been before, has a vote on council. The integrity unit is going to be really important moving forward. I really think that's going to be groundbreaking in terms of protecting, in an independent body, protecting the integrity of the athletes and looking after the athletes' rights and listening to the athletes' rights across all things, not just anti-doping, but transfer of allegiance, illegal betting, age manipulation, everything like that. And I'm often asked the question as a parent, do I want my children to be involved in my sport, in any sport? And the answer is yes, I do. I want to fully support them. I do believe that the sport that they would be coming into now is a cleaner sport than it was. I didn't know then, but when I was coming into it as a child, I think that there is more support there, and I want to be a part of the process that's proactively, instead of sitting there criticising, is proactively making a difference.
If we look to whistleblowing, this is a big hot topic in anti-doping today. What do you make of the various channels being used? Of course, the IAAF has its own channel. WADA has just initiated its own as well. This is positive news, isn't it?
It is very positive news. I was very impressed with the presentation given yesterday by Gunther Jünger, and I really think that that's a big step forward in the right direction. I think listening to the whistleblowers, taking that information, protecting their rights, protecting their safety as well, protecting them, and not letting their identity be out there, and also making sure that they're doing it for the right reasons. I think that's my biggest issue with whistleblowers, is you have to be so careful that it's a credible source that you're bringing in, that they're not in it for their own fame, to cause trouble against with rivals, and to basically throw mud without having basis for throwing that, and to keep them safe.
We're amidst a discussion today in 2017 about the key areas where we can improve the anti-doping system, compliance. There's a proposed sanctioning framework, whistleblowing. Which are the areas to you that need improvement?
I think there are a lot of areas that need to be improved. improved, primarily the quality and the standard of the testing. We have to get to that point where the testing is good enough that an athlete can prove that they're a clean athlete, and I'm not sure we're quite there yet. I'm not sure that everything that is being used and manipulated out there is able to be picked up in the testing. So we need to get to that point. We need to get to equality of testing. So wherever you are in the world, you are subject to the same standards of testing, the same standards of compliance as every other country, and we're a long way from that at the moment. Much greater investment in anti-doping. So I think that needs to come, yes, from the marketing budgets. I think IOC, even within athletics, we talk about the World Marathon Majors, need to contribute a lot more, because it's the whole credibility of the sport. And I don't think they're seeing that now. They say, oh, well, 5%. 5% is not enough. It should be 95% almost, but maybe not that much, but at least 50% needs to be fundamentally going into making sure that the credibility, the belief and the protection of the young athletes is there and is looked after. I think looking at the sanctioning process, making sure the entourage is fully sanctioned. So yes, making it a criminal offence. I'm not saying send somebody who fails a doping to control test, send them to prison, but by making it a criminal offence, you make it much more easy to go through the Interpol channels, the customs channels, and to raid houses, to use those investigative abilities much better to catch the cheats out there. So I think that needs to be improved, and possession, distribution of doping substances definitely should be a criminal offence and a sanctioning offence. I believe that when managers exceed a certain level, and federations, a certain level of athletes, number of athletes sanctioned for doping, that they must pay a fine. They must also be sanctioned, and that money goes in then to the anti-doping budgets.
Looking outside anti-doping, tell us what your aspirations are for the future. You've had an amazing career. What do you want to achieve next?
I think I have lots of goals to still work towards, personal and career-wise, and those are changing. I think, to stay true to myself, to help my sport, because I genuinely do believe that it's a beautiful sport, it's a great sport, and I'd like to see that reflected in the credibility that it has across all sports and worldwide, to make it a better world generally for my children to grow up in.
Paula Radcliffe, thank you very much.
Thank you.